No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it? You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Welcome to the Let's Get Growing show on the Urban Gardener channel. My name is Jay, also known as the J-Bot, and I am your host for today. For those of you who are looking at our show thumbnail and you haven't been around for the last couple of weeks, this is our no-show show. And what can I mean by that? What that means is every winter, Enoch takes a bit of time off from the show. And over the years, we've come up with different things to try and help facilitate and support this community. And we're trying a new thing this winter break in which Enoch is not available to us. He's on his break from the show and doing different things for a future project that I'll explain in a few minutes. And my name is Jay Dixon. I am normally the show facilitator, which means I'm normally behind the scenes. So what we're doing is we're having a casual hangout today. What that means to you is that we can discuss virtually anything that YouTube doesn't have an issue with. We do steer away from any controversial topics, but what that means is you can discuss gardening stuff, which is primarily what we're all here for, but I don't get too fussy if we stray a little bit off topic from gardening because we're just doing a casual hangout situation here. And speaking of that, it's occurred to me that in our current thumbnail and the way that we've done this is we don't really differentiate between when we're having a formal full show that Enoch is doing and what I'm doing, which is a casual hangout. So what I'm saying is you, the audience, the reason that I'm doing this is to try to have a place and a space for all of you in the times that Enoch is off. This is not a full formal show, but a hangout. And I was thinking that maybe we could come up with a word or a term or a way to describe this in case I'm doing this again in the future, which could well happen. We don't necessarily have to do this, but I just thought there might be a way that we can clearly differentiate between a full formal show, which is what Enoch does, and he will be resuming that next week on Saturday, Sunday, and new to us all, Monday night as well. So we're doing a casual hangout. I'm open to virtually any topic, any point of discussion, primarily focused on gardening. But hey, if you want to talk about something that's going on in your life, something wrong with your car, something going on with your health, something like that, we're a little more relaxed in these casual hangout situations. And because this is a casual hangout, these shows aren't necessarily going to be archived forever, meaning they may be sticking around for potentially a couple weeks, and then Enoch may delete them off because we're just kind of casually hanging out. We do value you, and we do value your time and attention, which is why I'm here now, and why I try to make these casual hangouts sort of based on your interests, your discussions, your topics of things that you're interested about, more than a formal show topic. So that's me, Jay Dixon, and I'm just going to go and discuss some of the things that had happened in the past. Weeks ago, when the show was a formal show, we had a 2025 review. And you can go back into our archives and see that. We also had Gardner Scott, and we will be having him again in the new year. We also did a review of the monthly gardening book club. And again, if you go back approximately 5-6 weeks into the archives, you will see that. And we also had a show where Enoch invited in new guests who are going to be talking about what was happening and what will be happening for this 2026 year when they go fully back in. And I do apologize for the ums and ahs. I am not a media creator. I'm a background person, but I feel that I wanted to have some place for us to be able to hang out in sort of a casual club situation in these times when Enoch is off and on vacation. I'm totally open. I'm doing this for you. So if some of you have some feedback, either in the current live chat or in the comments after the show, to feel that you would like me to try and do a fuller show, we can talk about that for the future. But for right now, we're just doing a casual hangout in the after holiday period. So some of those new things that will be happening is on Monday night, Enoch will be getting together with Natalie, the Fresh Princess, and we'll be co-hosting a new set of shows. So what that's going to mean to you is that it's going to be potentially a 3-day gardening weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, starting next week. Now, how will you know more about that? Tomorrow, on tomorrow's show, we will have a little bit more information about that. And at the end of that show, meaning the final 30 minutes of the Sunday show tomorrow, Enoch will be coming back. He will be my guest. And as the show creator, he will be telling you more details about who's going to be there, what's going to happen, maybe a little bit more about the format, to give you a little teaser about why it would be worth you showing up for our new new Monday night shows. But Sunday, tomorrow, the last 30 minutes of the show, he will be here and giving you more details about that. Another new thing that's happening is that Brandy, who is the suburban gardenista, she's taking over to do the garden Q&As that we used to have. They will be coming back, and that will happen. And also, another thing that will be occurring is 2 other guests, and I'm hoping Enoch's going to be giving you more details tomorrow. We'll have 2 other new correspondents joining the team. For right now, I'm just going to tease it out, not give any more details, but we will be having more people join the team. So our community show will now have more people in the community running the show. And we are super glad to have more correspondents on the team. Look forward to that. So the new show that will be occurring on Monday nights is called The Green Room, and it's going to have Natalie and Enoch, and they are going to be co-hosts on the Monday night. And it will be very similar to the things that you've already seen. However, there will be differences, and I'm going to leave it to Enoch to give those details, but it's going to be a slightly different dynamic than what you usually see. So familiar and different happening on those Monday night shows. So normally in the show, we have Enoch here as the show presenter. Some of the ways that you can support our show and any of the other show creators that you see in our chat, or as people who also appear on the show as guests, is to like, subscribe, and share. And there are other ways you can support us, like donations. You can do things like hit a specific button for when you're on a phone to also show support there. But we are here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and it is approximately 7 p.m. in the UK. And we will be adding on to that Monday night shows starting next week. And here is that. So the Monday shows, which will be occurring, will be at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'd have to do a little quick math here to figure out what that would be for your UK, but it will be late for you, and we do apologize. But one of the reasons, and I hope Enoch is going to touch on that either tomorrow or when he starts the new show on Monday, next Monday, is that meaning a week from now, is that some guests simply can't be available on the weekends. And so it makes it possibly more available to you, the audience, but also for some of our guests. So we potentially can have more variety. Also, it's going to be a slightly different flavor of a show because we have Natalie, the Fresh Princess, which if some of you have seen her either on her own channel or she was also a guest here on the show, she's got her own dynamic, own way of doing it. And as the co-host, she's going to be right in there putting her own mark on the show to make it hopefully interesting or different for you. So that's great. I just want to give a quick shout out to Team Replay. We are super glad for all of you that do check in with us when you're not available live. We are deeply appreciative of people doing that. This particular show and the other no shows potentially may not stay in the archives forever. So if you want to watch them, it should be relatively soon because in a few weeks they may not exist. But we do want to thank you for joining us after the stream and letting us know by leaving a comment below. I am very open to feedback from any of you because I'm basically doing this for you, the audience. So I really like either live comments or comments in the show to say things that you would like or to have differently. And I do apologize for the ums and ahs and stuff. Again, I'm not a professional presenter. I am the fill-in while Enoch's on his break. So, I'm just going to go into the comments because as far as I'm concerned, this show is for you and about you. So I'm just going to say hi to some of you that are here. Let's see. I'm going to go back to this in a minute, but earlier before this show started, John Jude posed a question, and I do mean to come back to that. But who do we have here is Muddy Puddles Farm. Thank you. You're becoming a regular here, and we really appreciate it. Muddy Puddles Farm, approximately 2 weeks ago, did her first ever live. And for those of you who are content creators, live streams can be a really nervous situation if you've never done it before, but she handled it wonderfully. She did that live 2 weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure she's got another one coming up, I think this week, but do check on her channel for her second live. She's planning to do another additional one, and she's got a very interesting project she's looking at pursuing. She's still working out the details, where she's looking at using whatever parameters she can define to actually try to live off the produce and meat that comes from her own property as much as possible. And she's looking at trying to do that for about a year. And she's still working out the definitions and the framework of exactly what rules and stuff she's going to go by. But she's trying a very ambitious project of how to live off what she produces. So I really want to hand it to her for trying what might be a very involved project. And check out her channel to find out more about that. And this is me. I came in after the first two people. My name is Jay Dixon. I come from Huron County in Midwestern Ontario, Canada, which is in the lee of Lake Huron. I'm going to be explaining a little bit about more that later and how it affects growing and stuff. The short version is we're in winter. So essentially, other than harvesting a few cold weather crops that you already planned for or doing any kind of seasonal extenders in your garden, this is it for us for outdoor gardening. So now we're going to have to switch our focus to indoor gardening if we choose to do so. So that's just how it is where we live. And here's Muddy Puddle saying, we had the hugest storm, winds over 120 miles per hour. It's a long time since I've seen one of those, and I'm glad it's passed me by now. Wow. In the comments, I'm going to highlight some of you, but if any of you want to discuss where you are or your weather conditions, especially how it affects you personally and or your garden situations, we would love to hear about it. We also had a windy week where I am, but not that much. That is dangerously high. And here's Muddy Puddles, just you and me for now. That was initially frequently as the show starts up. It's just a couple of people. So any of you want my individual attention, the best time to do it is the 15 minutes before the show and when it first starts up. And then I get a little busy multitasking. But so glad for all of you to be here. And we have Bowtie Life. That's David. Triple G, greetings, Global Gardeners. Hey, Pirate at J Dixon. I guess he's saying because I mutinied and took over the channel, I'm guessing. Oh, how's your mutiny going? There we go. You seem to have an army of followers prepared to battle against the boredom of the winters in the garden. Yes, I am very grateful for all of you that are here. And I'm trying to sort of keep it casual, but kind of shape the show depending on the topics and things that are of interest to you, rather than doing a formal show. And thank you, Bowtie. Sometimes it depends on what other things he has going on. Sometimes he performs the actions of being Mr. Botron, and that means that he helps us by facilitating in the channel. And I appreciate when he's got the spare time and energy to do that. Don't forget to check out his channel, Bowtie Life in the Garden. He has pop-up live streams as well as garden tours and videos, and it's of great interest to all of you. And a question, Muddy Puddles, do you prefer Dave or David? My impression is it's David, but he can kind of deal with that. Robin Gardens, hey, good. Glad to see you. Saying hi to all the people that were here at the beginning. Robin Gardens is also a regular here, and she is a very busy person in the garden. She has her own channel, Robin Gardens, and do check that out as well. Robin Gardens, unfortunately, and I'm not sure how much she wants to discuss this, but basically has had a really unfortunate situation of multiple injuries, one main serious one. And that's going to really hamper what she's able to do. So she is adapting and recalibrating how she's going to be able to garden. She is a very dynamic and interesting person and very informed. So please do check out her channel. And I will put out a teaser there and saying that she's going to be a little more involved with us as well. And I'm going to leave that to Enoch and her to discuss the details of that. But she do look out for her having a little more involvement with our channel. And here we are with Shawnee Grows. Glad to see you here. She also has a channel as well as pop-up live streams, garden tours, things like that. She is an extremely informed person who does educational live streams about gardening as well as casual hangouts like what I'm doing now. A very nice and very worthy person to check out. And she's on her second cup of tea. She's had a ½ inch of snow and saying good day to everyone. Hey, Shawnee. And Shawnee is another person who you want to keep a little bit of an eye on. She may have some more involvement in our channel. I'm not free to discuss all the details, but she is looking at being more involved with us. And I am super happy about that because all of the things I just said about her, which when I give compliments, when I say things, I really try to be authentic and true to all of that. I don't believe in unnecessary compliments. I like keeping it very real. So she is all of the things that I just said, in my opinion. And here's another person, Janet McDonald. Hey, happy gardening, far-flung fellow enthusiasts. Yes, we get people from everywhere, from Australia to the UK. I'm in Canada, people throughout the US, and occasionally people from other places as well. And here Shawnee saying, Muddy Puddles, was there damage over there on your lands? Shawnee is asking because both her and I also experience fairly high winds, and one of her videos several months back was actually talking about the damage that she experienced in the gardening season when she was in a high wind situation. So you can check that out. Texas Organic TV. Hey, glad to see you here. Another good channel for all of you to check out. And here is David saying, only thing I prefer, responding to Joe, which is Muddy Puddles Farm, is that you don't call me late for dinner. I answer to David, Dave, Bowtie, Tigger, Frank, Mr. Botron, thick-headed, stubborn, nearly human Neanderthal. I think I'm not going to try and repeat that one several times, but I also am very casual about what people call me as long as it's a positive statement. Pretty easygoing. And Shawnee waving at Robin. Hey. It's my understanding, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything, is there was another channels live recently, and they were talking, they meaning Robin and Shawnee, about doing more cooperative projects together. And I think that's going to be good for all of us. I am definitely here for that. So watch out on each of their channels, Shawnee Grows and Robin Gardens, that what details might come forth about their new projects. So that's great. And Jersey Girl, you've been around for a few years, and I am really glad you're back. Hey. And so this is talking about the high winds that Mighty Puddle Farms experienced. No, things blew into the hedge. I spent days bolting things down. My friends lost their stables, back room, and feed store. Oh, no. Oh. I'm a little bit of a slightly paranoid weather watcher, especially when I'm going to be outdoors myself. But I'm constantly checking to see how I should dress for the weather, to trade around what activities I might choose to do outdoors, and also regarding storms, which can be an issue for our area, is to know what might be up and coming and prepare for it. And the kinds of things that Muddy Puddles is talking there, Joe is talking about bolting things down and stuff. We actually kind of walk the property and make sure that nothing is insecure or needs to be tucked in or put away or all that kind of thing. And we do it not just for our own properties, but also sometimes for our neighbors. I live in a tiny home community, and not all the people are here all the time. So there's that going on. So the people we think of, we kind of do a quick walk through their property and figure out things that need to be tied down or secured a bit. Dusty Flats, hey. Storm Goretti really hit the UK all the way up to Scotland, big wind and snow. I'm superficially aware of that. I've had some other things going on, so I haven't been following that entirely. But yes, I've heard it's been seriously bad up there. And this is Muddy Puddles answering back. Highest wind speed was recorded at 123 miles per hour. Wow. Yes. Oh, it's frightening just to even think of that. For those of you who live in areas like that, you might want to think about what you might have to do to adapt your gardening, what you might have to do to build in protections to help create essentially wind breaks, whether they be material or whether they be things that you grow as wind breaks, or what types of crops you put in, those kinds of things, how things are secured, your staking and all that kind of thing. So the people who actually do have to deal with it on a regular basis, feel free to clarify or add onto the suggestions I just gave. And Dusty Flat saying, I wonder if it took 9 days for our bomb cyclone to reach the UK. I don't know if it's the same weather system or a different one. But yes, we are all connected, and it has some potential that it could be. And Dusty Flats made a comment earlier, but this is the greeting. Hello. Pardon me. And this is Shawnee commiserating with Muddy Puddles. Oh, your friend had some damage. Oofta. That's a Midwest comment. Oofta. And this is Dave responding back saying, I slept until 6 a.m. He's a very early riser normally. I got to bed around 11:30, probably the time you all ended. But I got something else done that needed to be done. So what Dave is kind of referring to indirectly is that last night there was a live stream for South Florida Sunshine Tropicals, who is Carol. And she's kind of in the new year got her normal show is frequently very kind of casual, like this one right now is, just sort of a hangout and chat. However, she's become a lot more directed to have things that are specifically more educational or informative about gardening in the early part of her show. So if you've checked out her shows before and maybe haven't been there for a while, this is what she's doing now, is to have that at least in the early part of the show, and then a little bit more of a casual hangout afterwards. And that was last night, Friday night, late, 10:45 p.m. Eastern. Don't know the time for everybody else, so that kept us up a little late, but we like to be supportive of other people who are regulars here and in a channel. And here's Dusty Flat saying, it was trampoline flying weather in the UK. Oh, yeah. Well, she was mentioning 3 buildings knocked down. So it was everything flying weather. Yeah. Okay. So here's Eddie Lyles. Someone say hi, Eddie. Hi, Eddie. We're getting that now. Eddie's got some constraints for his gardening in terms of some physical disabilities, and he's a very determined person, and he's looking at ways to work around it to be able to get done what he wants to get done. So very determined despite many challenges, and I really appreciate that point of view, that determination to continue on. And here's more commiseration. Robin's Gardens is talking to Muddy Puddle saying, so glad you and the animals are okay. So sorry about Pete's troubles, which is the friend who had the multiple buildings flattened by the wind, but glad that the animals are okay. And Jersey Girl saying, you do a great job, Jay. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere. I really appreciate it. Like I said, right now, these are casual hangout situation. I can and will in the future do shows that are a more formal, full show. But for right now, for a few different reasons, this is just a casual hangout situation. And Texas Organic TV says, everybody ums and ahs. Well, I try to watch the shows afterwards and notice the things that are, we'll call them reasons for growth, things that should be improved. Because my attitude is that although the show is technically mine, like Enix mainly, but mine temporarily, really I'm doing it for you. And I try to have continual growth so that I'm improving show upon show. And the ums and ahs is an issue that I need to correct. And I will not at that. Oh, and there we go. There's an right there. Janet McDonald talking to Shawnee Grows. Yes, the quiet beauty of snow, so long as it doesn't need shoveling. Right now, researching to learn all that's worked in growing through history, several new channels. Ah, nice. Yes, there's concepts going back hundreds of years, and in some ways, the way you look at it, thousands of years, that we can learn from people who depended, very strongly on gardens and growth and what they did to survive. And so there are lessons throughout history, absolutely. And the quiet beauty of snow. I'm not going to try and talk any of you who are in southern warm places into the idea of moving or being in snow. But since snow is my reality, I used to think of it negatively, but now I try and say it's part of nature. I have to accept it. What's some of the quiet beauty or things you can appreciate? So just briefly, I will say that snow is an important part of the ecosystem in our area for gardening. So in a way, it's helping to fuel our garden for the upcoming growing season. The other thing it does is, to me personally, after a really nice snow, it dampens all of the noise. So it's much more quiet and peaceful and clean looking. Everything looks clean, clean, clean with a coat of snow over top of it. Not that our area is dirty or anything, but it just creates sort of a whitewash, peaceful effect that just, if you're in the right mindset, kind of settles you down and makes you go, to appreciate it. So there's that. And talking about the peat person, Muddy Puddles Farm is talking about Pete evacuating his horses before the storm arrived. Yeah, if you're vulnerable to storm conditions, it's important to be informed and prepared and take care of things as you need to. And here's top. Dusty Flats is saying, I wonder if Tony, who is Simplify Gardens, who is a regular here near Wales, has electricity. Many got knocked out and haven't seen too many posting. Okay, so I can reflect a tiny bit on that. Tony is a super, super busy person. He has multiple facets to his life. And he does try to appear regularly on channels that he supports. And just before this show, he was traveling in his vehicle, but did check in with Garden Like a Viking, who is Nate Murray, who precedes this show. He is on from 12 Eastern till about 1:30, 1:45. And Tony made a brief kind of check-in as he was driving. So I know that he is seemingly healthy and out, but because he was driving, not much communication. And Mighty Puddles is saying, I'm doing really well, thank you. Feeling very grateful for making my way through the storm without damage. Yes, we're glad for you too. And here's a reflection on what Janet McDonald was saying. Shawnee Grows is saying to Janet, oh, that's so lovely to try and absorb what growing techniques and varieties worked for our ancestors, coming across new channels and exciting and refreshing. Sometimes even just a simple idea. Let's say, for example, you're having difficulty with the cost and access for you to do some form of watering in your area. I'm not saying this is a choice for you, but one of the things you can look into, and pardon my pronunciation, but there's olas, which are basically a terracotta pot that is formed and partially buried into a growing area, and that people put water into it. And that's a traditional method from many years ago that may have validity for some people in some situations. And Dusty Flats says, about 80% of the trees were flattened on that lower aisle. Wow. I had no idea. So Ireland is saying that they haven't seen roads so bad in at least 60 years. Wow. I'm sorry, my heart goes out to those people. And Texas Organic TV is talking about a little project saying, I started to rejuvenate, a rusted cast iron pan, cleaning used pots, start pots, and trees that need to come down. Okay. Yes, I need to do the same thing. And we are seeing Adam Burley. Glad to see you. Adam is a moderator here on the channel, and sometimes he provides facilitator roles as well. And we are grateful when he's here in whatever way he wants to. And he was also a guest on our show in which I interviewed him, we'll call it around 8 weeks ago. If you look back into the archives, we'll call it 6-8 weeks ago, if you look back there. And he is a soil scientist, and he studied that, in depth and shared his expertise with us, which I deeply appreciated. So here's Bowtie talking to me, saying the only thing we have here in Destin was a nearly full week of thick, heavy fog. Quite record-breaking for us. All the old-timers I've talked to said it's never been so long. because of the right. Oh, we've had a January thaw here, which is fairly typical for our area. So what that meant is we had rising temperatures, melting snow, and fog for 3 to 5 days, I guess. 3 days, quite serious. 5 if you look at it as affecting you. Yeah, so. And here's some people talking about their weather. Dusty Flat saying some had 30 centimeters of snow, 11.8 inches of snow. Yeah. I think we have similar weather, Dusty Flats and mine, and that is usual for our area. And Bowtie is saying Destin today is sunny and 77 Fahrenheit, which is 24 Celsius. Wow. Sounds great. But I get 4 seasons, and he doesn't really get a full 4 seasons. So depends what you like. And Shawnee is talking to Texas Organic TV. Full list of tasks you have. Yes, right on getting the rust out of the cast iron pan. Being proactive with bad trees is smart. Yeah. And here's Robin. I didn't know how much she wanted to discuss it, but Robin's saying she fractured her shoulder and it's going to be 4 months to heal. So my understanding was multiple fractures. So that means that she's been unable to do that. And being the cheeky, silly person that I am, I myself and now a few other people as well keep referring to her as One Wing. And she seems to be taking that in good humor, the fact that we're being a bit silly with her. But we do wish you well. And I can't remember the number that she said, but she is so determined to do those seed packages, which she shares quite abundantly with a local seed library and with other people, that she's been still doing seed packets, even with, a severely fractured shoulder, still making seed packets. So, and she's looking at what things she may do to adapt her gardening. And we look forward to hearing about that. And Eddie Lyles is saying we had a hard rain here for 2 days. We need it, though. And Shawnee is saying that fog is wonderful to Adam. And this is Dusty Flats, wondering if Eli, which that would be Eli and Kate, who is also quite a regular she does her own channel, Eli and Kate, but she also is quite friendly with Gardener Scott, who is also a regular correspondent here. So I wonder if Eli got any snow in Edinburgh. She said they don't get snow. I know the mountain areas did. Yeah, I'm a little out of date about their weather and their situation. And Dusty Flat saying, yeah, we got about a half an inch of snow also in Wisconsin, I'm guessing. Sorry, I don't know some of the short forms for parts in the U.S. And Texas Organic TV, I picked eggplant last night in Texas. Wow. And Shawnee Grows is saying, Jay, appreciate your positive review and kind comments about my channel. Like I say, I try to be positive and helpful and supportive, but I try and say it in truth, that I don't give false compliments. I don't really, it doesn't vibe with me to do that. So I try to find authentic things that I can say that boost people up and support them and get them energized to have a direction with what they're doing. And here's Dusty Flat saying, Danny will be happy. Danny, by the way, is Danny in, I think he's either Wales or upper UK. Upper parts of England. He says he will be, he does Grow Up TV, a Grow Up channel. Danny will be, and he has live streams on Thursday. It's 2 p.m. my time, which is Eastern Standard Time. Not sure what it is everywhere else. I'm pretty sure it's 7 p.m. UK on Thursdays. He's on a break right now, but I think he will be back next week. So Danny will be happy. He asked Santa for snow and must have got some. Don't know. And here's Dusty Flat saying they had a rare red weather warning in the UK. Say that's 10 times. Please, no. We here in Ontario, Canada, just switched to a color-coded formula for weather in the last couple of weeks as well, in addition to numbers and other criteria, but they actually are giving us now the different color warnings depending on the degree of weather. How severe it is what I'm trying to say. And Muddy Puddles is saying, I haven't heard a lot from the UK YouTube tribe. We love to discuss the weather and we love a disaster video. So if the worst happened, I would think they would put up a video, no news and all. Well, it could be that they're very distracted because they're, busy dealing with it and don't really have the time to have casual discussions or put up content. But I truly don't know what's going on. I'm definitely out of touch about that. And here is Texas Organic TV said, Shawnee, I saw that show on wind damage, meaning the video on her channel. How long did it take to recover? She had stuff that was actually like lying flat in quantity in her garden because of wind in the summer, but it was a severe problem. And here is an announcement. Pay attention, everybody. Shawnee Grows is saying, announcement, Robin Gardens and Shawnee Grows, their 2 channels, will have segments called Roots and Rambles. We will dig into the roots of topics and ramble about them. The first show will be Hacks, Myths, or Facts. Oh, how nice. I hope you were slightly influenced by me having a kind of a casual discussion about garden myths and facts. Not sure, we'll call it about 6 weeks ago or so. So I invited anyone who found that interesting to work with it, use it on your channels or whatever. And I am, first of all, very glad that you two are collaborating. Fantastic. Second of all, new project, Roots and Rambles, fabulous. And we are going to look forward to that first show. Great. I am really pleased to hear that. I am very pleased to hear if any of you choose to do collaborative projects together of any type, but that sounds great. And Dusty Flat saying, oh, Rob is in here. That's Rob in the UK who does Rob's Allotment and Attic channel. He does gardening. Says, I've seen a roof blown off over there and thought of Rob. I hope he wasn't in the attic, because he does attic gardening as well. And he's a regular here. And I don't know what's going on with Rob. And Robin talking about tea. And Dusty Flat saying, I went through the Rootaloo yesterday and sorted onions and potatoes and everything looked pretty good. My understanding is that a Rootaloo is kind of like a cool containment storage area for root vegetables. And here's Shawnee responding to Texas Organic TV. We worked fast to clean up fallen branches, getting them off the gardens. The trees still have broken limbs today since we don't have the equipment to get up that high. Then the popcorn suffered. Yeah. And so here's Dusty Flat saying, I plan on overwintering geraniums in the pot next year as they look terrific compared to bare root and paper bags. So any of you that feel like discussing geraniums and how you save them, in a different village I was living in when I had a full 3-story house with a basement, different than my current situation, which is tiny home living. So I had abundant space, almost too much space. I would take the neighbor's geraniums, which were 30 to 40 plants, and I would do different things to preserve them over the winter. I wasn't fussy about it, but I did the things that Dusty Flats is talking about. I put some in pots. I did some with bare root hanging upside down and sprayed a little bit. And others I put in paper bags. And I was just trying to see what was most effective. And I can't say that I could for sure tell, but having a little bit of moisture or a little bit of protection was definitely necessary for them to survive the winter, meaning the spraying with a little bit of moisture on them, or the covering of the roots in one way or another, paper bag or in soil. If they were simply just bare rooted and left, they're pretty much doomed. And wind is, this is Shawnee speaking to Dusty Flats. Wind is wild and does a lot of damage where it's not supposed to be. Yeah, we're starting to get a thing called Duracos here. Duraco, and we've never dealt with those before. And that's a new thing for us in our area. And here's Robin laughing and saying, Al, that's her partner, her husband, is making chili, and I'm having him do it in the crock pot for ease. Interesting, shouting directions and watching this. Yeah, that's going to be an adaptation for you about, directing rather than necessarily being able to do everything physically yourself. And here's Robin talking to Dusty Flats saying she keeps my geraniums, meaning her own, in containers with soil inside. My issue was that when I brought the soil, like regular soil inside, that also brought pests and disease with it into my home. And then I became another project of having to deal with that. So one of the reasons I tried other methods was to not have to deal with that in my house, of bringing outside soil in. And Shawnee Grows is saying to Robin, love that dynamic, meaning she's directing her husband Al on how to cook and how he should do it. And here is Robin Gardens saying to Dusty Flats, I tried the dried bag things with geraniums, didn't work for me. However, no issue in pots with a 40 Fahrenheit garage. So she had a temperature moderated garage, which I did not have. I just had a basement that was slightly cool. And here is Dusty Flats responding, saying, I kept geraniums in the rootaloo, which is root storage as far as I understand, and they were growing. Oh, you don't necessarily want that happening. They're supposed to be in sort of a stasis in the winter. Need a different setup, maybe a major project soon, need a bigger cellar or shelter. Yes. Some plants that you bring indoors from bring indoors that were formerly outside, you want them to go in sort of a hibernation type stasis, not necessarily growing. And this is more about the geraniums. Dusty Flats responding to Robin saying, wish I had a garage. Yes, the bag method does tend to dry out or mold a bit. Potted one is ready to go. I also did just hanging upside down, like I used a rack, like a clothing type rack, and then I hung them from that, and then once in a while, not very often, a very light spritzing, and I would say it was equally effective as to having them bagged. So all soil knocked off and then hung upside down for the geraniums, and I would say it was similarly effective in my cool basement situation. And here's Eddie saying, this year I will be documenting the garden on video. Yay! For my own satisfaction. No desire to post a channel, but I'm looking forward to a great growing season. Well, maybe if we encourage you, you might choose to do that. There's people who use the YouTube channel that they have, not as trying to be formal presenters, but rather just documenting or having a diary for their own purposes. And sometimes it's helpful or means something to other people. So you can consider that some of the things that you learn may be useful to another person in a similar situation. But no pressure. I'm a person who does not have my own gardening channel. I just facilitate and help other people. So you do what works for you. Just throwing that out there that your lessons might help other people. So I'm skipping through some of the comments because you guys are beautifully chatty. I am very glad for it, but can't necessarily cover everything. But here's another little bit of weather. Adam is saying fog is okay for a little while this time of year. It can sit in our valley for a few days to weeks. It's currently 32 Fahrenheit. Ah, wow. Yeah. So here's Janet responding to Eddie's comment about possibly videotaping this year, is saying, I found some thought-provoking videos on new channels, how humans in previous centuries did work smarter, not harder, less physical, more plant once, harvest now on perennial veg. Yes, there are many things to be learned about choices that people made when they couldn't do things like irrigation and stuff, how they managed to work around that. And so here's Bowtie responding to my quick comment saying, oh, Jay, we get 4 seasons like you, 11 months of summer, 2 weeks of winter, and a week each of spring and autumn. So I was corrected on that. And I have seen some pictures and videos showing that they do sometimes get a little bit of snow. And Dusty Flats, Robin is winging it. Yeah, we're kind of teasing her in a well-meaning way about her situation. Empathetic, but still jokesters. Okay. Oh, Simplify Gardening. Hey, Tony, glad to see you here. Earlier in the show, someone was actually asking about you and your situation. I'm not going to be able to say accurately all what was said, but essentially people were inquiring and hoping you and all of your family and friends and situation is doing well because of the really severe weather blast that went through and the damage that happened in that area. And essentially it was an inquiry hoping that all was well with you because of how severe the damage was. And here is a link to the Gardner Scott Show, which will be Monday for my time. That's 11 a.m. on Monday mornings. Oh, and I just want to go back briefly. Simplify Gardenings is Tony, and Tony is an extremely informed person. He studied gardening in a formal way as well as informal. He gardens up in Wales, and he has written multiple books which are available on Amazon. Some of them are printed copies and as well as things that you can download. He has done videos and live streams, and it's my understanding that he's probably going to be going back to putting some energy towards that. He's been very busy with a private project that may be discussed in the near future, but he is a super busy guy who is full-time fireman, busy with his family, and doing what he can to provide gardening education for all of us. And we appreciate him very much. And I am glad that you are here. And just letting you know that people think of you when you are not here in terms of things like this weather situation, the really severe things going on up in the UK, people inquiring and hoping that you're okay. And here's a link to Muddy Puddles Farm from Mr. Botron, and I really appreciate that. And Adam saying, how are things? He's asking in a casual way, but we were concerned about you earlier. And clarifying the thing that I was not entirely sure. This is Tony saying, Danny is in Wales by me. Okay. I was pretty sure it was Wales, but I wasn't 100%, so I didn't want to state it as a fact. And Simplify Gardening's channel. Please check that out. And here's Robin's responding to us saying, and Dusty Flat saying, yes, winging it. Al would just feed me just fine, but it would be a piece of meat, a veg, and salad. And I'd get bored with that fast. So. And this is Danny's channel, Danny at Grow Up. And thank you for that. Danny, traditionally, he does multiple things. He is very busy both working and at school at the same time. And he runs his own channel and frequently has live streams, which is Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. in Wales is my understanding. And he also appears on other channels as well. So very, very busy guy. And I think he's coming back to doing live streams this week, but can't state that for sure. And here is Dusty Flat saying, hey, Tony, you made it. Tell us how your area fared. Yeah, hopefully, not too much really bad news, but we might as well know the reality. And here's Mr. Botron. Thank you so much for helping us, David. Robin Gardens link for her channel. And here's Simplified Gardening, which is Tony saying, I had snow for about 2 days and rain washed away after it. Now heavy frost and ice, which will be our reality in about 3 or 4 days. That's usual for our area. We're in a January thaw right now, which is beautiful. Really appreciate it. And here is Muddy Puddles asking Tony, how did you fare through the storm? And Tony saying, some of the UK really bad. 80,000 homes without power. Wow. And more links to other channels. Please, when we show these channels, support them. These small gardening channels, I cannot tell you how much it means to them when you show your support in all of the usual ways. Sometimes they have a lot going on in their lives, and the effort they make to put out a channel, having any kind of support or feedback, really does fuel them to continue on doing their good work for us. So when you see these channels, please do save them and check them out in whatever way you can. And here is Tony saying, I was okay, thanks, but busy in work. Yeah, very, very, very busy as a firefighter. And love that name. Not sure which name, but yeah. And here's another channel. Shawnee Grows had mentioned that. Please do check her out and show her whatever support you can. And here is Texas Organic TV saying, Shawnee and Robin's Gardens, congratulations, sounds intriguing. Yes, they're doing a collaborative project together. So Roots and Rambles. So that's good. And here is Bowtie saying, extra, extra. Robin Gardens and Shawnee Grows channel will have segments called Roots and Rambles. We dig into the roots of topics and ramble about them. The first show will be hacks, myths, or facts. Yes, so we'd mentioned that earlier, but for those of you who may have come later, they're collaborating. And isn't that fantastic? I am so glad to hear that. And so is Muddy Puddles Farm. Looking forward to that collaboration. And for those of you that are stepping in a little bit late, this is a no-show show, which means it's a casual hangout. Enoch, who is the originator of this channel, is on winter break, having a vacation, and we're basically doing a casual hangout. I haven't come up with a name or a term for when I do a casual hangout. For those of you that might have a suggestion for how I can make that nice and clear, have a name or an identity to that, I'm open to that. Or we just do a casual hangout and don't worry about putting a title or a name to it. But my idea is that I'm trying to make it so that this show is about what's on your mind now, and we're just kind of casually conversing. It's not a formal show. Formal shows will resume here next weekend, meaning Enoch will be here Saturday and Sunday, and new to us all, Monday nights in collaboration with oh, mind blank here. Anyway, it'll be a cooperative project for Monday night, and yes, so that will be happening on Monday. And looky here, Enoch takes the time off, and everyone is thinking Mutiny, Pirate Captain J, Natalie the First Princess. That's the name. I am so sorry, Natalie, that I just had a little break there. Robin's Garden, Shawnee Grows, getting crazy in here. Well, I'm so glad that people have energy and want to pursue interesting projects regarding gardening. I love gardening education. It's one of the reasons why I put a bit of time and energy towards helping other channels. And I am very supportive of the idea of having interesting new projects go on. I do apologize for forgetting that. Occasionally, this is something I haven't necessarily discussed to any of you, but I'm multiply disabled, and one of my disabilities causes me to occasionally just have like kind of like a brain freeze, and that disorder is called fibromyalgia, and sometimes those neural connections just literally don't happen. So if I for some reason accidentally leave out a bit of information or whatever, it's no insult to anyone else. It's just part of my disability is sometimes those neural connections just don't quite make the right fit. So I'm doing my absolute best. And here is Janet McDonald talking to Simplified Gardening, which is Tony. Good to hear from you. I have to add, mind the black ice when you're out in the New Hampshire area. Our cars would slide sideways in a second. Suppose you are a good winter driver. Yeah, we also experience that in our area. And talking about definitely need this is Dusty Flat saying I need a bigger root cellar and deeper. First time we dig down and got inside the rootaloo, probably the same critter that ate potatoes in the garden for the first time. Yeah, so. And Tony saying, yeah, lots of black ice today. And we've had lots of RTCs in work. I don't know exactly what the term means, but I'm guessing it's a short form regarding basically what most people would call an accident, but has now been updated to collisions in terms of that because of his main career. Okay, so I'm just going to skim through quickly, and here's more compliments. Simplified Gardening, you do an awesome job, Jay. Oh, thank you. Compliments will get you everywhere. Thank you so much. I really will fully admit to you that I am not a professional presenter, but I'm doing my best to try and reflect what the audience needs, what any of you would like to hear. And here is me saying, any more thought-provoking gardening questions for the chatters? Yeah, I do have a few. So my thought was just to get us all I'm just going to reflect some of what you guys are talking about. And then I have some potential questions, just as kind of like starters, some kind of conversation starter type things for us to potentially discuss. But the important thing here is I want to say Simplify Gardening. Tony is saying we're all safe here. Thanks. And so is Tony. So I wanted to make sure we knew that. And I am really pleased. And Tony letting us know he's going to be starting again this month. Yay. Hooray. And we have Big Will Dog in the house. Glad to see you here. Hooray. And Big Will Dog is, he has his own channel, and he's done a couple videos recently. He's talking about some garlic issues in the most recent, but the one before that, he did a very detailed thank you to all the people who influenced and helped him. And throughout these years, as he's chosen to create his own channel, put a lot of energy into it in the last year or so. And I really think it's worth a watch for any of you to check that out, because he's got like a baseline attitude of gratitude that is really refreshing and nice to see. So please check out that video in which he talks about all the influences for him to gardening. And this is Tony clarifying what I referred to earlier. Correct he, meaning correct that he also live streams on Monday on the Tony C. Smith channel. So yeah, so that's clarifying what I was trying to say earlier. Let's see. And Simplified Gardening is saying Roots and Rambles name, Jay, I love it. I'm taking no credit for it. I'm simply reflecting what Robin and Shawnee are doing, and that's a name they come up with. They were kind of, they did have me kind of in the background as part of it as they were working out names and titles and how they were going to do it. And I was trying to help with that, but they came up with that on their own. So, and Robin saying, Big Will Dog, so glad you're here. Great. So I'm going to skim through these a little bit more quickly now so that we can get onto some topics. Texas Organic TV is saying his channel is only a video diary of his balcony gardening because that's new to me. And I've helped some people and I don't show my face yet. Yep, it's your channel. You can make it private for your own purposes. You can do very limited stuff. It's all good. My attitude is your channel is your channel, and do what pleases you. And Rob Zadek, glad you're here. People inquired about you, hoping you're safe with all that's going on with the weather in the UK. People are thinking of you when you're not here, and we hope you are well. And people just saying hi to each other. And Shawnee Grows is saying Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, January 19th, on the Green Room, the live show will be there. Meaning the Urban Gardener, Enoch, is expanding to have a 3-day weekend. So next weekend will be Saturday, Sunday, but then Monday night will be the new show series called The Green Room. Enoch will be here tomorrow near the end of the show on Sunday to give more details about it, to promote it ahead. But basically, Shawnee Grows and Robin Gardens will be there for the Monday night show, and we really appreciate them. And, whoops. So Danny from Grow Up is on Tony C. Smith's Potty Mouth channel as well. Yeah. There's so many excellent gardening channels. I truly do try and support and watch as many as I can, but that's one I haven't caught up with yet. So. And some wise words from Tony saying, there's only ever one winner. Nature lets us know that we think we're in charge and we step over the line, and then it shows us how insignificant we are. Yeah. And we were thinking about you, Rob. Dusty Flat saying, Rob, you're okay? Because the weather has been really severe in different parts of the UK. So. And Rob's responding, doing great, thanks. Good, because some people have been really severely affected in the UK. And here's Rob's channel. Again, please do support and check out each other's channels, because it really does mean so much to the small gardens. And this is Shawnee saying, Rob, we were wondering if you were okay. Yeah. And here's Simplified Gardening saying, those who think they can bend Mother Nature will see her wrath. I try and adapt around my weather, and it's one of the reasons I really check the weather quite frequently, so that I am working with it rather than against it. And so many of you here, and you're so active chatting. And if I haven't highlighted your comment, it's not that it's not valuable, but you guys are so chatty that I am spoiled for choice with so many fantastic comments. And different people having different ideas on how to do their channel. But Simplified Gardening has been giving Bowtie Life, meaning David, some advice. And he said, you'll be so proud of me. I'm fixing to record 3 videos at once. Also, a friend wants to give me a teleprompter, so I'm heading over there. So many different ways to do things, and sharing and helping each other. And I really love it. And the storm I'm referring to is we were Dusty Flat saying we were talking about Storm Goretti and seeing a roof blowing off and hoping it wasn't yours, was checking webcams in the UK. Yeah, thinking of you, Rob, when you're not here, hoping you're all right. And saying to Muddy Puddles Farm, who is also in the UK, have those winds died down yet? And Muddy Puddles checking out Big Will Dog's channel last week. Fantastic. Great. And Big Will saying, thanks for the kind words. I was saying earlier in the show, I only give authentic compliments. Like, I really believe in being truthful and honest as best I can, and giving positive support when I can, but it has to be real for me to feel, good about saying these things. And Tony C. Smith's channel. And Potty Mouth. And that's another UK group. And here's Bowtie going, the people want to know, does Rob's attic still have an attic? By the casual way he's chatting and stuff, I'm thinking he's saying that it's all good. Doing good, Jay. It's not so much know where we live. Yeah. Dusty Flat's making a joke out of it going, that attic has a lot of natural light now, joking as if the roof had come off. Yeah. Yeah. And so here's a bit of gardening advice. This is regarding content creation. Simplify Gardening is saying, that's great, Dave. Bulk creation will help you do more with less effort. So Simplify Gardening, for those of you who are unaware, he is one of the OG people regarding gardening education and garden channels. And so he's had decades of experience and knowledge on this topic. So when he sits down and gives you some and takes the time in his busy life to give you advice, it's very directed and very purposeful, and in my opinion, quite valuable. So yeah. And Eddie Lyles is asking question, I never got my potatoes dug this summer. They'll re-sprout in spring, won't they? Now, that's a bit of a depends thing, and I don't mind anyone else asking. And please, if you've got a question, because we're so busy in the chat, if you've got a question, if you can please, put question ideally in capitals, so that I don't miss it, because I'm skimming, and guys are so lovely and chatty, but I am trying to catch up. I never got his potatoes dug this summer. They'll re-sprout in spring, won't they? Okay. Traditional thinking, as best I understand it, and by the way, we have a potato expert in the house, which is Tony, Simplify Gardening. But traditionally, at least in my knowledge and my experience from my area here in Canada, people do not leave potatoes in the ground. However, I saw some innovative and interesting videos where people did do that. And they either left them in the ground or they purposefully planted them in the fall to winter over and grow ideally in the early spring. Almost nobody in our area does that. That's like crazy thinking. You don't do that. So I started experimenting with that, about what you were talking about leaving some in the ground, either purposefully or accidentally, or planting in the fall. And I can say in Canada, here in my area of Canada, which is Midwestern Ontario, we have pretty severe winters. The common cold temperatures are anywhere from about -10 in the winter to a low of about -25 Celsius. So quite cold. And I plant them maybe slightly deeper than normal to basically have thermal mass in the ground. And I've had, I would say, 80 to 90% success with the potatoes sprouting in the spring, being one of the first plants up and growing. So one of the things I've done to adapt to that, to learn from that experience, and I've now done that for several winters, not enough to quantifiably tell you that that's a scientific fact, but casually in my garden experience, it's somewhat worked for me. Not 100%, because the freezing ground can can burst the cells in the potatoes with the freezing, but planted deep enough, they do survive my winters, and they grow up as one of the first plants in the spring. And now what I do is, in certain areas where I'm not having a disease or pest problem with the potatoes, I do what I call sloppy harvesting, which means I harvest some of it, but I don't get over fussed about getting every little potato out, especially some of the small stuff. So I do sloppy harvesting. And then sometimes if I have spare potatoes, I also put some in before frost in those areas, slightly deeper than usual, sometimes with a coat of about 2 inches or more of chopped leaves as sort of an insulative layer on top. And I'd say approximately, I don't count it precisely, but I'd say 80-90% of my potatoes not only survive, but are amongst the first plants that go up in the spring. As soon as I see a sign that they're starting to grow up, if there's not more frost expected that spring, I start either thinning or removing the insulative layer I have of leaves on top, and it's worked really well for me. In fact, I would say it's made potato growing much more attractive and easy. This is in-ground growing. Let's be clear here. Tony uses a method where he does has pots, so they're essentially raised up. Those I don't think would survive the frost of our winter because the lack of the thermal mass in the pot, unless you did lots of fussy other things that I'm not necessarily going to go into unless people are interested. There's still potential there for them surviving the winter, but really it's the thermal mass and the depth of the ground plus the insulative layer of leaves on top that I think is making this work. And yeah, so I do what I call sloppy harvesting of potatoes. And again, like in the late fall, if there's some potatoes that are kind of not necessarily fantastic for the larder for eating, those go in as seed potatoes to potentially survive our winter instead of going into compost, so that they can produce more food instead of just being compost. So that's kind of the story about that. And here is Bowtie Life in the Garden. Please check out his channel as well. Do support each other. And here's Tony clarifying 18 years on YouTube now. So much knowledge and experience. And Danny's saying that he took 3 different outfits to the allotment and changed before a shoot so no one would know. Then he tells everyone on Potty Mouth. So it's talking about, doing multiple videos. See, the main thing is the efficiency of being already set up and creating multiple videos while it's already set up. And Dusty Flash talking about her volunteers, potatoes sprouting. Yeah. And Bowtie showing enthusiasm for his Haas potatoes getting picked up. And I know I'm quite far behind, so I'm just going to be doing a wee bit of skimming here. And I do apologize if I've overlooked any of your comments. I can't necessarily cover all of the comments, but I do appreciate you for being here and participating and all of that. And here's Tony mentioning, I still have a load of potatoes in containers that are outside that I've not harvested due to time. Tony has an unbelievably busy life. And here is someone else, Eddie Lyle, saying, Stefan, who I don't know, up in Canada at Willow Green Permaculture, leaves some in the ground each year, and he has luck with it. Yep. Traditional thinking, though, that we have regarding potatoes is you don't ever do that. Well, I saw an influential video that it had some potential. So, yeah. And here's Simplified Gardening saying, no, they would survive your winter, but you would put them inside or stack them away from the frost. Yeah, that's a really good idea if you had a sheltered garage or shed or something, but I don't have that situation. I am tiny home living. There's still alternatives of what you can do. And when I first moved here, I moved here at my current location in a tiny home in December. So I had spent the months before gathering up a bunch of my plants and shrubs and trees from where I used to live to bring them here, but there was no time to plant them. So I essentially put all of those pots together in a sheltered area away from the dominant wind, prevailing wind as much as I could. And then I took a whole bunch of chopped leaves and kind of essentially buried them, wished them well, hoped for the best, that they would last through the winter because of the freezing situation around the pots, and most of them did. The vast majority did, so that was good. And here's Bowtie Checking saying, my first video was in February 28th, 2012. 13 years next month. Wow. Yes. And Mighty Puddles, I just picked up on some rocket potatoes. They are chitting right now. I plan to sow early under cover. They must be desperate for carbs by the time they are ready. Yeah. And Mighty Puddles saying 13 is lucky for some. Yes. So thank you so much for all of your comments. I'm going to just put up a few banners of potential areas of discussion. The point is that these are potential areas of discussion that I put about discussing things, but this show is about you and the things that you're interested in. So I am mainly interested in that, but here is some potential areas that we consider talking about. And Robin actually has a question for us, so I'm going to go with that. Robin's Gardens saying, what tomato variety are you most excited to try in 2026 and why? So I'm going to leave that up for us for a little while. Tomato variety you are most excited to try in 2026 and why? For me in particular, I am the kind of person that I grew up quite low income, and fresh stuff wasn't readily available for our diet. And so I'm still at the attitude, even now, much later in life, partly because I'm low income and disabled, is that I'm grateful for what comes to me. I don't get particular about any one thing. I am grateful for whatever varieties work. I tend to do things that are a medium-sized variety for a tomato because I live alone, and that works better in terms of our short growing season and what I do to eat. But I would love to hear from some of you regarding what tomato variety you're most excited to try in 2026 and why. And once I start clicking on other comments, that will no longer be available. I will try to come back to that comment. But if anyone's interested in discussing that, thanks for coming up with that idea, Robin. I was just about to come up with some topics myself. And if anyone's interested in discussing tomato varieties, by the way, Robin spends quite a lot of effort growing a huge variety of tomatoes. I think I'm remembering correctly, but I can be, she can say whether I'm right on this or not, is that she was growing such a large variety and amount of tomatoes that she was talking about potentially next year backing that off before her injury. She was saying like it was a bit too fatiguing and overwhelming to be dealing with so many. So that's the subject right now. Potential subject is tomato varieties, but I'm open to discussing whatever you guys have on your mind. And I'm going to try not to miss your comments. Here is Adam Burley saying, Robin Gardens, you've got me trying Cherokee Carbon this year. Cherokee purples are so finicky in the heat. So that's Adam's thought about it. And here is Dusty Flats saying, I've seen the Ivan tomato, never heard of that, and it got sold out, but I've seen it on Amazon and caught it, and it better be as good as they say or my husband won't be happy. Oh, I don't know. Is the Ivan tomato a bit of an investment, or was it difficult for you to find? You're saying it got sold out before. Yeah, so hopefully it's good. And here is Texas Organic TV talking about the tree tomato, which I forget the facts that I learned about tree tomato, but I had looked into that in the past, maybe about a year ago. I had not heard of it before and was looking into it. And here is Muddy Puddle saying, I saved some, pardon me if I mispronounce this, dulcits seed from a salad, and it was tasty, and I'd never seen it before. I'm hoping it grew in a big greenhouse with other dulcet tomatoes, so not cross-pollinated. It's going to be an experiment. You'll find out. And this is a slightly different topic, but Big Will is saying, to simplify gardening, I hope my thanks clips to you was all right. I'm not sure if Simplify Gardening, meaning Tony, was here, but we were highlighting Big Will Dog earlier, mentioning that he did a video recently on his channel, which was thank yous to all the contributors and influencers for him in his gardening journey. And you, Tony, was one of those people. And so he did a thank you highlight to you, which I'm pretty sure was fairly early in the video. Yeah. So Bowtie is heading out. Thank you. I really appreciate you acting as Mr. Botron today. Thank you. Appreciate. And here is another comment. Apparently the Ivan tomato was brought back from near extinction. Wow. Interesting. And Simplify Gardening, talking to Bill Big Will Dog, saying, always appreciated, mate, but no thanks are ever required. It's not why I help people. Yeah. So here is a comment about tomatoes. Eddie Lyles is saying to Robin's question about tomatoes, one I'm excited not to grow is San Marzano. People rave about them, but it was riddled with pest and disease when I grew them. Wow. So that's a no to that type of tomato. One of the I'm actually just kind of casual. I'm just grateful for what comes to me, so I don't get very fussy. I like all different ones. Here's Robin responding to that question. She said, I'm trying Little Bing and Tiny Tim and Cherry Falls. Okay. I hope to find a tasty variety for the green stalk. Anyone try any of these? Well, I've tried Tiny Tim multiple times, and I found, in my experience with what I've done, not very good producer. It really, for the effort and the space, it basically sat there and really didn't do anything. And I tried it about 3 years in a row in slightly different conditions, different soils, tried to improve, tried to do different things. And in my experience, it's a common tomato in our area, but it didn't produce for me. But you are also a very skilled gardener, so you may find a different experience. And here is Rob's Attic saying, San Marzano is great for sauces. Ah, great. Dusty Flats is saying, Ivan is my husband. Surprised to see a tomato with his name. Yeah, he might have some projects you're not aware of. No, my understanding from the comments here is that Ivan is a tomato from years back that was saved, that was kind of going to go extinct. Okay. And Adventures with Me and T. Glad to see you here. Hey, you're turning out to be a regular here. By the way, Adventures with Me and T is connected with Bowtie Life, David. And Bowtie periodically has been working to help support other channels that are trying to get monetized. And spent quite some weeks helping get Adventures with Me and T. And my understanding, and I can be corrected, is that you recently got monetized. And that was through people's effort, binge watching your shows so that you could get to that situation. So I am glad for that. And Rob's still saying, not decided what tomatoes I'm growing this year yet. Yep, me either. Me either. And here is, whoops, sorry, misclick. I wish I'd known better luck. I had 18 tomatoes. That's Eddie, sorry, saying, I wish I'd known I'd had better luck. I had 18 tomatoes and I maybe got 20 fruits. Ooh, had a tomato harvest otherwise that year. Yeah, wow. And some people grow like 6 plants and are so overwhelmed they can't handle the amount that they get of tomatoes. So Dusty Flat saying, I didn't care for San Marzanos either, but I did find a difference in seeds from different suppliers. like for corn. Okay, so you want to consider that. And here's someone a little bit philosophical. Big Will Dog is saying, thank you to Texas Organic TV. Well, thank you very much. Gardening is rarely a solo journey, so I want to let people know of some of my inspirations. And that, I just want to reflect on that for a moment. That's one of the themes of this channel, is that basically we're trying to build gardening community here. And it's one of the reasons why, even though normally in this period it's an off time, like meaning the show is totally closed down, but I kind of felt like I wanted to help liaison with the community here, to help big up new projects, new shows, new channels, to help give you guys a place and a space to feel heard. And I'm doing that in this time when Enoch is off. For those of you that are sort of stepping in a little bit later, I am Jay. I am normally the show facilitator, so I'm not a professional presenter. I'm not a content creator. But what I'm trying to do is fill a little bit of a gap here when Enoch is on break, on vacation, to still have a space and a place for all of you here in our gardening community that we've created here. He is returning next week. He is going to be doing full shows like you would expect on Saturday, Sunday, and new to all of you on Monday night as well. So that will be coming up. And tomorrow's show, the last 30 minutes of the show, he's going to be discussing that and reflecting on that in more detail. So we will be back tomorrow. We're not finished for today, but I just wanted to kind of catch you up with what's going on, because as Adventures with Me and T is saying, thank you so much for sharing the love, encouragement, and support. And that's why I facilitate, is I want people to feel that kind of thing authentically happening for them. And we're back to tomatoes again. Dusty Flat saying, I have so many tomato seeds to use up that I dare order more. Still on the search for the perfect for my garden. That's the thing, is seeds have, no matter how well we store them and effectively store them, they have a limited shelf life. So some of you that have any types of seeds, and we're talking about tomatoes at the moment, do consider doing some sort of testing to see if they're, functional seeds still. And if you have an excessive amount of seed, think about being a person like Robin, where you share the wealth by sharing the seeds with other people. And because they, again, normally have a limited shelf life despite excellent storage. Back to the tomato topic again. Adam Burley is saying, I'm thinking about having other heirloom hybrids, such as Mars. Oh boy, you guys have challenging names here. Marzianera. Pardon me for that. Big Brandy and Genuine. So those, hybrids. Wow, interesting. And so Bowtie, who said he was leaving, but appears to still be here, right now we are helping Doug over at the Croc Gardener get monetized. He still needs watch hours and subs, but he is so close. We could finish next week's. Please go cultivate a playlist, play all button. So Croc Gardener, unfortunately, when I'm facilitating, when I am hosting, I can't really get that link to you, but look for the Croc Gardener. For those of you that will help with the watch hours, YouTube prefers that you interact with the channel periodically. You can absolutely click on a playlist and let it go, and those hours may be effective. But if you can periodically do things like stop, pause, change the volume, go to another channel temporarily, and then come back, those watch hours are more likely to be counted in the monetization, but any help is appreciated. And Adventures with Me and T is saying, we're growing red snapper, sun gold, German pink, mortgage lifter, Hossinator, which I've never heard of, but I can imagine where that comes from, and the ever-present Everglades. Wow. And here is Bowtie providing you that link to the Croc Gardener, how you can click a play all or a playlist and help support that channel. And many people who are currently here in the show had other people here as channel members who supported another channel to get them monetized. And just off the top of my head, recently, Shawnee Grows has had that happen. Bowties had that happen. Adventures with Me and T has had that happen. So I really, it's part of the things you can do to support each other. And monetization can mean quite a bit to help settle down some of the costs there are to running a small channel. And here's more tomato discussion. Same here. Those purple heirlooms are just stopped growing in the heat, maybe as they were developed in a cool climate. And Bowtie is saying he's really out of here this time. So maybe he is. Maybe he's not. Who knows? And Robin Gardens is saying, I do a mix of heirloom and hybrid. In the end, it's about flavor from us. Yeah, for me, it's about flavor. It's about what positions or spaces I have as growing spots. It's what's common, like it's what's available to me here. Because quite frankly, I'm not huge into the planning. I work more spontaneously with what's available to me, what I have space for, that kind of thing. And Dusty Flats is saying, thanks for being here, Jay. For all of us cold country gardeners, for sure, not much happening right now. Essentially, right now, if you're looking for things to do as a cold weather gardener, I'm not currently doing this. So this is not prescriptive like you should. Possibilities are doing things that looking into a garden diary, garden apps, looking into any kind of planning you might want to do, seed ordering, looking at a past diary that you have to reflect on what strengths and weaknesses happened in your garden and changes you might want to make. So those are the kinds of things that you could potentially do. So, and this is Dusty Flat saying, I usually grow so many seedlings that they get shared to many people. And I try to do the same as well. And Muddy Puddles is saying, joking, saying, don't you know, David threatens to leave for at least 30 minutes before he goes. Well, I think Dave means to go, but he finds something interesting in the chat and goes, oh, wait, no, I got to comment on that. Or, oh, I forgot something and wants to add. So he's so intrigued by us that he's involved. And Simplify Gardening, Tony saying, bye, glad you were here. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for stopping in. And this person, Muddy Puddles, saying, yeah, even leaving a smiley face or a heart in the comments or hitting the like button so YouTube knows that you're there. And also, it has a little bit of meaning to the people who are struggling, you know, with the work and the load in their regular life and making content for us. Some days are really hard. And just even having 2 people putting in smiley faces is enough to go, oh, at least it means something to someone. So, you know, any efforts are appreciated. And back to the tomatoes again, Robin's Gardens is saying, I grow both as well, and I haven't tried any of the high looms, meaning hybrids of 2 heirlooms, to improve productions or disease resistance. So, and here is Rob's Attic saying, I will be growing our staple tomato of Crimson Crush. So letting us know about that. And Big Will Dog is saying, and being a creator was supposed to be so easy. Not. LOL. So many metrics to consider when posting videos. It's one of the reasons why I've chosen not to do a channel and don't plan to in the near future either, is I am pretty aware of the crushing amount of things that it can be if you choose to have a channel that's going to be more popular, growing, working with the algorithms and stuff like that. I don't mean to dissuade any of you who want to do a channel. You can do it quite casually, but to do it seriously, it is a lot to consider. And that's why I'm trying to support you, the content creators, rather than necessarily doing work of my own, other than the odd show here. And facilitate other people's garden lives for that. And Rob's saying, for some reason, I don't seem to get many comments, good or bad. Okay. And back to tomatoes again. Janet McDonald's saying, in Central Texas, cherry types like Sweet 100 do well. Yes, Sweet 100s also do very well here in Midwestern Ontario. I keep trying heirloom purples and they slow fade, so moving state. I guess it means they're changing. Not just tomatoes for gardening is a big factor. Not entirely sure what all that means. Robin Gardens is saying, I've not heard that term, but Cherokee Carbon would fit that category. Think about the Purple Heart Dwarf. So they're talking about heirlooms that have been done. And Adventures with Me and T, talking about so happy to pay it forward. We're watching the Croc Gardener playlist, dropping comments, hitting the like, and of course, we're subscribed. So all of those things help that YouTube will think those watch hours that you put in to help support are a real person. They're trying to see interactivity. So, and Bowtie's back. I don't think you were gone very long. We appreciate you, but wow, that was quick. Oh, Simplified Gardening. Tony was not saying goodbye to us. He was saying goodbye to Dave. Okay, great. All right, clarifying that. And Dave just likes messing with people in the chat. Well, I'd have to say that one of the things that's in our area is a certain amount of native groups that, of course, came first before us. And they have in their mythology the idea, their traditions, the idea of the trickster. And I'm a serious person. I'm a person who tries to do practical things in life. But I share the aspect that I think exists in Dave and myself of being a little bit of the trickster personality, where we're a bit of a jokester, a bit of a silly personality. And not everybody vibes with that, but that's a piece of how we function in our lives. And just for some of you who don't know, I occasionally, frequently, more than occasionally, dress in silly costumes and go out in my community and do public works that are to the good to try and help people. And so I dress in costumes as a senior citizen, out doing things like public snow shoveling, raking leaves, doing things on holiday weekends to give out snacks and treats to people. And the costumes aren't even that good. They're just kind of medium level. They're not fantastic costumes. But the idea is to give people a little bit of a reason for a laugh. And I don't really mind being the person they're laughing at, because it is ridiculous that a banana is raking leaves or that a panda is shoveling snow off a public walkway. And I do it two ways, to be both practical and silly. And I would say those are equal parts in me, but also potentially in Dave. And it's a little bit of a color outside the lines that not everybody appreciates, but it's the way that I do things. And let's see. And back to tomatoes again. Adam Burley is saying, Black Krim are my best producers. I have to risk a frost or two in order to get the fruit set to the mid-90s and 100s to show up. Yes, that's an issue for us too. Black Krim was the most delicious. One of the things that I've done in my past was I used to be an assistant manager of an organic farm in a city that was nearby. And one of my favorites of all the ones, we did 54 heirloom tomato varieties and produced them for market and for a food program, a food share program. And Black Krim was my absolute favorite, like heavy working in the field, dead tired. I would just get a very large bun, a Black Krim, rinse it off, crush it into the bun, and that was my lunch. And that was my favorite tomato out of all the 54 heirloom varieties. But it is so large that it is not necessarily easy to get it fully grown to maturity in our area. People kind of teasing Bowtie Life, which is David. FOMO, fear of missing out, once again strikes. Yes, yes, yes. Well, I'd like to think that he's very positive and wants to be in our community. And I love that. And Simplify Gardening, which is Tony, is saying, one bit of advice for all the creators is forget the algorithm. Make the content for the viewer. What's in it for them? Get that right and everything falls in place. I had a couple of people that are currently here, but I'm not necessarily going to call them out, that before they actually created their channels, actually spoke to me privately about giving them a bit of advice. I am not a content creator, but I was trying to give them the best advice I knew. And one of the advice I gave is figure out what is unique about you. What is your unique life experience or unique voice that is different than everybody else's, and have that reflected up front in your channel, because there are hundreds and thousands of content creators regarding gardening, but nobody else is you and your unique voice and your unique angle of how you do gardening. And if you feel that that is authentically you representing that up front to people, you will find the audience that will be appreciating the uniqueness in your gardening voice. And I've given that advice to a few people, and I believe that to be true. And people talking about their weather and their situations and what they're doing with gardening. Rob's attic, I'll be sowing 300 petunia seeds soon. He does his own very beautiful gardens. And Big Will Dog is saying wise words from Simplify Gardening. And Bowtie Life is talking about seed potatoes again. And this is some advice. Dusty Flats is talking about tomatoes, is saying, I read a comment that mentioned that purple did well in their shady garden, that full sun was a bit of an issue. And here is Adventure with Me and T. Shoveling snow dressed as a squirrel. So awesome. I unfortunately have not been a squirrel yet in shoveling snow, but I have been a range of different characters and creatures. Most recently, I was clearing away built up ice off a path, and I was not fully dressed, but partially dressed as Elmo, because I found that costume inexpensively. And Bowtie saying, Mrs. Bowtie says Bowtie is not a little bit of a trickster. She has stories and feels that she must defend herself one day, like living arms appearing from nowhere in the night. Craziness. Yeah, I don't know what that's about, that story, but could be something you share with us. I don't know what that story is about. Okay. So, I am. Mrs. Bowtie said he is heavily insured. And this is Rob's attic talking about, I did 300 individual ones, and I also do 100 begonias and busy lizzies. Wow. Okay. And back to the tomatoes again. Adam is saying, I grow a few tomatoes in shade each year. I grow so many, though, I'd go broke buying all the shade cloth I'd need. Yes. So, thank you all for your comments today. I'm just going to discuss what's coming up soon. We do get together here every Saturday and Sunday. And every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. But we will soon be having a 3-day weekend, and that will be coming up with Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be a new thing that's happening. And in that Monday night show will be the Green Room with Natalie and Enoch. Urban Gardener, who is Enoch, will be appearing tomorrow, Sunday, here on this show. Approximately the last 30 minutes of the show will be him giving you details about the new changes that will be happening here. We will be having new people coming, and they will be contributing to our show. And Natalie the Fresh Princess will be his co-host on that new Monday night show that will be occurring here. Another change that will be happening is Brandy, who is the Suburban Gardenista. She will be appearing here, and she's going to be doing the garden quiz, and that will be a returning feature to our show. We also have a spoiler that we're going to be having a couple of other people who will be our new guests on the show and continuing to provide content for us, they will be appearing on the new Monday night show. So to clarify, tomorrow is another casual hangout show. The last 30 minutes will have Enoch talking about what's upcoming for next week, meaning next Saturday and Sunday, and then the Monday night after that, and he will be sharing the features in there for us. So I so appreciate you being here and joining in on the conversation today. Here in the live chat, feel free to also comment in the comment section. These casual shows that are going on last week, the week before, and this current weekend are a hangout time. If any, they may recur at times. And if any of you have a title or an idea for how I can better label them for you, I am appreciative of that suggestion of what we can call them. I also want to give a shout out to Team Replay, people who are going to be watching this show afterwards. And you can also give us any kind of comments you want about our new show format, our added new content, our new collaborators. Lots of good things going on in 2026. And we definitely want you to join in the conversation. And that's all that I have for us today. I just want to remind you that we'd like you to like, comment, and share our show. It means so much to us. There are different ways that you can contribute to this channel, and we deeply appreciate all of you for being here today. Thank you for joining us today, and that's just about all that I have for the show today. Before I close up entirely, I just want to see, and so this is what's going on next Monday night. And thank you so much for being here today. We will have more information about these new changes and new aspects of the show. We also have a very interesting show going on next week as well. Next Sunday, we have Sam Kaufman of Survival Gardening. So that's not tomorrow, but next week on the book club will be Sam Kaufman of Survival Gardening, and he will be here, and we will have the book club about him. And also Bevan Cohen from Small House Farm will also be available on a future show, and the Green Bay Gardener. So we have a lot of exciting things going on. More details about each of these shows and the new 3-day weekend that we're doing will be coming up for us tomorrow, as Enoch, our show host, will be returning for us for updates about all these new changes. And thank you so much for being here with us today. That's all I've got for us today. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next week with the changes and updates highlighted by Enoch. And thank you for being here today, and I hope to see you here tomorrow. Another casual hangout, and the later part of the show will be Enoch talking in much more detail about all these new changes and new shows coming up. Thank you for being here today. Casual hangout time. Glad to see you, and let's get growing.
right, I gotta run. See you on the flippy flops.